Part 66. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 654. Nai Ronghai was dumbfounded when he received the news in the middle of the night. He was rushing towards the central star as fast as he could. But he knew that a storm was waiting for him. At this moment, he was politely escorted by people from the Central Army. What did they say? Questioned him, Nai Ronghai, for harboring the terrorists who committed countless massacres on Cree 5 years ago? That he was harboring a wanted criminal? That he is involved with those terrorists? He couldn't understand. The terrorist they call is Beru? That murderous maniac Beru, one of the 5 most wanted criminals in the Alliance? But they also said that after tracking them all the way, the terrorist they finally killed was found in his son's suburban property. This is simply fart. How could Beru be there? Nai Ronghai finally managed to avoid the guards and called Nai Hua in the starship bathroom, only to find that his son's optical brain could not get through. He used another optical brain number to contact Do Fei. But Do Fei didn't respond. He knew it was bad. Do Fei is very capable, how could he? Nai Ronghai is a little confused. He switched to another secret optical account and found that there were 99 plus unread messages. Just as he was about to open it, the bathroom door was knocked. Nai Ronghai did not dare to make any further moves and could only temporarily calm down. On the starship, he received another video call from the Central Military Headquarters. Are you saying that all the witnesses and physical evidence are available? He also said that if it wasn't him, then it could only be his son Nai Hua. He also said that the Central Army has invited Nai Hua to cooperate with the investigation. So please ask him to come back quickly and cooperate with the Central Army's investigation. He, a general, was going to be investigated by them? Nai Ronghai was a little in disbelief. Of course, he thought that someone was deliberately setting up a trap for him. He was still thinking about who would be the first person in the election? Or is it Yu Tan who he never found? But the other party also said that the person responsible for this operation was the First Army. First Army? He had no connection with them, and he had no grudge against Chi Mo, whom they supported. Moreover, the First Army was not responsible for the terrorist actions on Cree. It was none of their business. Nai Ronghai was depressed. On the way back, he was trying to contact acquaintances in the Central Army, trying to find out some specific information or inside information. He wanted to ask, what are the so-called personnel and material evidence of harboring and shielding? As a result, he was told, it's quite a lot. It should be said that it is too much. Ronghai, for the sake of my old friend, I advise you, rather than denying it, it is better to explain it well. Nai Ronghai was very panicked. Is it that serious? How could his old friend say such a thing? Based on their relationship, he would have pointed it out whenever there was an opportunity. Nai Ronghai returned to Central Star in a panic. The genius was bright at that time. And he was directly interrogated. Of course, due to his identity, the interrogation was secret. General Cai, who is in charge of this case, is the current head of state. Only then did Nai Ronghai know that the so-called witnesses were not only the First Army, but also the Central Star local police station, and a large number of people in that area who had witnessed it with their own eyes and could testify. From the very beginning, many people saw people in that small building trying to obstruct the police from approaching and entering, and then suddenly started shooting at the police outside, and grenades were also thrown from the building. As a result, the police suffered heavy losses, many people were injured, and even the police car was bombed. If they hadn't had many people and good weapons, something big would have happened this time. The Central Police Station is now indignant and demanding a strict investigation. People in that area were also making noise, demanding an official explanation. At that time, there were not only witnesses, but also more than 100 military and police officers who witnessed the scene. Not to mention the people nearby. Everyone saw and took pictures of the scenes of wanted criminals in black armor wandering around in the Nye family's small building, familiar with the family, and killing for no reason. Nye wrong hai, impossible. Then you mean that hundreds of people saw it wrong? Do you know? The terrorists that everyone saw at that time were extremely arrogant, jumping up and down in that building. If they were not familiar with that building, they would never be able to do that. Abundance. Impossible, Nye wrong hai still shook his head. There must be something wrong. I can guarantee that there will never be any terrorists in that building. Admiral Cai slapped the table. Are you sure it will be useful? Let me tell you this. After the First Army rushed into the building, it was Beru who was killed in full view of everyone. At that time, Beru was escaping to the basement, and his accomplices had already taken the lead and escaped from the building. The secret passage in your house escaped. Impossible. Could it be someone doing something wrong? Beru's body was taken out of your son's building. The more than 50 people from the First Army in this operation, as well as the hundreds of police officers who surrounded your home, can all testify. Everyone saw it. So it's confirmed to be Beru? It can't be a fake, right? I've compared the DNA, it's absolutely true. Nye wrong hai was completely confused. Admiral Cai, we have compared all the weapons used by the terrorists. They are all models from previous years. The firearms, bullets, and grenades are the same models used by the terrorist organizations during the Kree War. Those are extremely powerful. The homemade explosives are exactly what Beru is good at. Who doesn't know that Beru is the best at illegally manufacturing weapons and ammunition? So please explain quickly, why are the terrorists in your son's house? Nye wrong hai could only emphasize, impossible. I am not covering up. Our whole family is completely loyal to the alliance government. How can we shelter terrorists? Beru must have broken in there, and we are also victims. It doesn't make sense. Admiral Cai smashed a stack of documents on the table. If Beru led someone to break into your home, why didn't you resist with so many people in your family? Why wasn't there any trace of resistance? To take a step back, even if they couldn't fight, people from the military and police were outside, why didn't they ask for help? Nye wrong hai, we have searched that building. There are nearly 10 rooms, all occupied. You have a lot of minions there. A conservative estimate, there were at least 10 of your people last night? At least 10 men. Judging from the traces, sports equipment and items in the room, there are still 10 young men who are good at fighting. Let me ask here first, Nye wrong hai, what does your son do by raising so many young men in a suburban property? You have a secret. Yes or no? These numerous questions left Nye wrong hai nowhere to argue. Okay. Let's not mention this for now. Admiral Cai sat down facing him. Let's just say, you have so many people. If terrorists really break in, why don't they resist? Inaction. Their normal behavior should be to cooperate with the police inside and outside to take down Beru and his people in one fell swoop. That's what Admiral Nye is supposed to be like, right? And with so many people at his disposal, no matter how powerful Beru is, it's not difficult to resist, call the police, or ask for help. There is a weapons depot in your building, and we opened it? The weapons inside are all advanced and high-end. So as long as your people want to subdue the terrorists in Beru, it should be easy. But not only did they not do it, but they ran away with Beru's people through the underground passage. Now you say that they were forced, does it make sense? Nye wrong hai, tell me, if they weren't guilty, why did they run away? Why didn't they stay and testify against Beru and his people? Huh. The photos scattered in the folder on the table are of the underground passage. This made Nye wrong hai feel a chill down his back. After killing Beru, we blasted the basement door and found a secret passage connecting your building to an underground garage on the next street. This was a premeditated dig early in the morning, not a temporary one. Only then. If Beru broke in suddenly, how would he know that the basement was the entrance to the passage? How did he know that he could escape through that passage? We also inspected your garage. Judging from the traces on the scene, at least 2 vehicles are missing, and they can carry at least 10 people. Everything just happened to match up. Your people escaped with Beru's accomplices. So, we have reason to believe that the reason you keep so many men in the suburbs is to protect members of terrorist organizations from the beginning. Isn't that right? That's nonsense. How could Nai Rong Hai admit it? Admiral Cai snorted. Also, we have tested and found that your home security system has 3 layers, and none of them is simple. One of them is the CRIS system, which is even more difficult to buy. If Beru and his people hadn't been able to enter and exit your building from the beginning, if your people hadn't been helping to cover and shelter, tell us how those terrorists got in through the CRIS security system? Nai Rong Hai was numb when he heard this. No wonder his old friend asked him not to resist and explain directly. He really didn't expect that he, who was clean, would be hammered to this point by a bunch of unfounded charges. He couldn't even explain it. He didn't even expect that these people actually had evidence. Admiral Cai threw out another photo. Is this person yours? Nai Rong Hai's face darkened again. The person in the photo is none other than Do Fei. No need to deny it, everything has been checked. Peng Fei, I have been following you since I retired from the 8th Army 7 years ago. Isn't that right? What did he do? Nai Rong Hai wanted to know. This is my right-hand man. Yesterday, it was him who negotiated with the police early in the morning, prevented them from entering for inspection, and denied that the security system used in the small building was CRIS. He was full of lies. Judging from the current situation, the reason why he deceived the police yesterday was to help the terrorists cover up. Only in this way can it make sense. Admiral Tsai threw out another video. This is the surveillance that showed him lying when he was negotiating with the police last night. Since he is your confidant, his words and deeds can represent your attitude, right? Don't say you don't know, don't say this is all their personal behavior. The CRIS system is not something a veteran can easily get his hands on. Your weapons and security systems are not affordable for unemployed veterans. In addition, the entire small building is clearly monitored everywhere, but when the police arrived, they found that all the monitoring data had been deleted. Nothing was left. It was deleted by force. It seems that some people are afraid of being known that they are in the small building. What's going on in the building? There is no one other than your people who could have done this. The police had already cordoned off that street and confirmed that no one had entered the small building last night. But do you think you can get away by destroying the video with Beru and the others? Isn't it a bit fanciful? Nai Rong Hai's face turned pale. This time, the people behind the scenes are amazing. Completely blocking his way. An endless loop. Either he tells the real situation, or he has no choice but to admit to the terrorists. The other party also deliberately made the matter such a big deal. Even if he had powerful means and strong connections, there was nothing he could do about it. What the hell? Who is it? Also, we found the secret room. Nai Rong Hai raised his head sharply. The fake Yutan there was also discovered. Peng Fei committed suicide there, but General Cai said this. Nai Rong Hai was dumbfounded. Before he committed suicide, he also bombed the bathroom and destroyed a lot of things. Our preliminary guess is that the secret room is where you hid the terrorist Beru, right? Nai Rong Hai, do you think he planned to die because he knew he was exposed and couldn't hide it anymore? Or did you choose to die because you were afraid that if you were caught, it would harm you, General Nai? Don't talk nonsense. This matter has nothing to do with me. Could Peng Fei be hiding someone else in the secret room? Nai Ronghai probed weakly. Ha! In the entire small building, inside and outside, except for your people, there are only terrorists and no one else. This is impossible. Where did that fake U-10 go? This is the fact. People from the First Army and the police station can all testify. Is there any collusion between the First Army and the police? After all, I am now a candidate for the next head of state, and someone wants to frame me. That's enough, General Cai supported Nai Ronghai. The police stations in Central Star are now under the direct command of our head of state. If you can say this, isn't it a frame-up of the current head of state? Nai Ronghai shook his head. I am really innocent. I don't know anything. Then tell me, who knows? Nai Hua. That building is owned by your son Nai Hua. But Nai Hua is not very old. He was still in school when Baloo was moving around. It is impossible for him to know Baloo. And we have interrogated Nai Hua, and he doesn't know him at all. There is that property. We checked the records of the property transfer, which showed that it was Peng Fei who took Nai Hua's identity certificate to handle the property. Now, you still want to say that everything has nothing to do with you? So I ask you one last time, are you the one who harbors, shields, and helps terrorists, and who is willing to go against the coalition government? Of course not. What's the benefit of me harboring Beru? It's hard to say. Who doesn't know that Beru was like a Turkish emperor in several remote galaxies back then? He had money, industry, technology, and his own power. Which one do you like? I have to ask you. I am innocent. Unjustly accused. Admiral Nai, this is the last chance the head of state gives you because of your past achievements, reputation as the next head of state. If you can be frank and lenient and give a reasonable explanation, it will be the best choice for you. Otherwise, you will have no choice but to accept a secret trial by the military. Nai Ronghai could only shake his head. How could he admit it? Don't say he didn't do it. Even if he did, this nod means the future is ruined. But he also knew in his heart that this time he was hit a bit hard and it would be difficult to escape unscathed. Then I'll have to trouble you to rest here for a few days before the trial ends. Admiral Cai snapped his fingers, and someone came up to search Nai Ronghai and took away optical computers and other electronic products. Admiral Cai left with the video of the preliminary trial, while Nai Ronghai punched his fist in anger. Damn it, he was put under house arrest. 2 chapters in 1. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 655. When Nai Ronghai was anxious and furious and could hardly accept the current situation, Tang Yu had been temporarily placed in a suburban villa. The place is kindly provided by Magia. Extremely private, with separate entrance and exit. There is already a doctor waiting there in advance. Tang Yu was given a comprehensive physical examination. These days, because Nai Ronghai had some plans for her, he didn't treat her too badly. She was given too many medicines, which made her weak. Nai Ronghai also gave her a lot of medicine that forcibly enhanced her mental power, which made her mental state go up and down. On the way to be rescued, she fell asleep uncontrollably. Fortunately, the doctor said that after a period of recuperation, her physical and mental strength will improve. Tao Ran asked how long it would take for complete recovery, and the doctor told him that it would be at least a year. The big bosses of the First Army never expected that the person they helped to rescue would be a female warrior who had been famous in the Alliance for some time. They were only told that they were going to save one person, so how could they have guessed that he was a master with high mental strength? They were excited and excited. One operation gained the sincere support of 2S level and above warriors, and it was not in vain that they had made such a big investment this time. Beru, the most critical figure for the success of this plan, was captured by their first army on a resource star during a mission half a year ago. At that time, they were not in a hurry to escort the person back, and even kept the matter a secret. In order to maximize their interests, they originally wanted to use the military exploits of capturing Beru to help Shimo at the critical moment of the election. So Beru and the others have not moved. And since the old foxes agreed to rescue Tauran this time, the First Army could no longer keep a low profile. They have to come to the stage anyway, so why are they willing to just save people and not do anything else? Exposing Nai Ronghai is not easy. But it is not difficult to take advantage of the opponent's mentality, draw a line of defense, trap the opponent tightly, and then throw dirty water on him. So they decided early on to use Beru, a valuable bargaining chip, to send Nai Ronghai out. Of course, if you play this way, the military achievements of the First Army and Shimo will definitely be greatly reduced, so this costly transaction must ensure success and profit. So the old foxes aimed at the current head of state. They expected that once the plan was launched, the head of state and the Central Army would give their full support and cooperation. Beru is one of the 5 most wanted criminals in the league, and his weight is extraordinary. The current head of state has only been in office for more than 2 years. Of course, he hopes to achieve more political achievements before stepping down. Therefore, if there is such a thing as Beru, who makes everyone in the alliance hate him, he will definitely be moved. Sure enough, after revealing Beru's whereabouts to the current head of state, the head of state quickly signed the warrant and, following the advice of the First Army, sent the local police station to fully cooperate. The presence of the police not only allows the First Army to act openly, but also allows the police to become convincing witnesses and share risks together. Of course, later on, if the police suffered a loss, they would be even more unforgiving of Nai Ronghai. The police will naturally come on the same side as them. With so many people biting Nai Ronghai, there was no way he could escape this time. On the surface, this is a joint operation. But both the head of state and the old foxes of the First Army knew that this was a transaction. What the head of state wants most is the result of capturing Beru, but what the First Army wants is the process of capturing Beru, and the credit. Everyone is happy, everyone is happy. In addition, if we can cooperate well this time, it goes without saying that it will benefit Shimo's smooth rise to power in the future and the benefits of taking over power from the current head of state. So when the warrant was obtained, the tone of the entire operation was basically set. As long as Tauran could successfully enter the small courtyard, there was no way this plan would fail. Because even if you don't look at the First Army, you only look at the head of state, both public and private, the head of state must ensure success. This is the most brilliant thing about these old foxes. Nai Ronghai is a general, and there are not many people in the military department who can handle him. Ordinary actions are unlikely to pose a big threat to him. So they pulled the Führer into the car. In this way, the head of state will definitely take care of this matter to the end. Only in this way can Nai Ronghai not be able to run away. When Tauran understood, he gave them a thumbs up. It was also to ensure the success of the plan that the First Army was willing to send so many people this time, engage in such a large battle, and start the layout early in the morning. Even Dissi's car accident on the next star was deliberately caused by them. They just wanted to force Nai Ronghai to visit. After some prodding, the conflict between Nai Ronghai and Dissi escalated, leaving him no time to deal with Tang Yu's affairs, and he was still running around. They chose Nai Ronghai to take action while he was on the alien planet, just to make it impossible for him to save the situation in the first place. They customized their early weapons early on, just to fit Beru's identity. After the operation began, Tauran wore bulletproof equipment and climbed over walls to let everyone see clearly that there were indeed terrorists. When everyone was attracted by the laser cannon, she was already ready with Beru, who was unconscious and in a bag. Before the First Army rushed into the small courtyard, They had already received news from Taoran that she had placed Beru behind the pillar of the stairs leading to the basement. Therefore, within seconds after the men of the First Army rushed into the small building, they found Beru and shot him. Beru died in a coma, and in the eyes of the police, he was shot while fleeing. They deliberately did not go after Nai Ronghai's people, just to make the people in the military and Congress believe that the remaining terrorists escaped with Nai Ronghai's people. Since the First Army was the first group to enter the small building, they had too much to do. Just like surveillance, they destroyed it. In this way, Nai Ronghai cannot prove that he has nothing to do with Lu 11. They also deliberately dropped supplies and weapons that had been prepared in several places in the small building and contained Beru's fingerprints and DNA. In the secret room, the men of the First Army also threw away the handbag that Beru had been using, leaving traces that Beru had lived there for a long time. The plan went very successfully. Nai Ronghai couldn't prove it to himself. Regardless of whether he explained it or not, most of his future was basically ruined. Here, Taoran and Tang Yu had a good talk and assured her, "Tangzu, she will come back. I believe in you. Thank you for everything you have done." Tang Yu took 2 deep breaths. "This is the revenge of Xiaozu and I should avenge it. But I may not be able to do it for the time being. I have to trouble you for most things. But as long as you speak, anything can be settled." "Me alone?" Taoran nodded quickly. "Good thing. Originally, she felt that there were too many goals and they were too complicated. With this person, her shoulders would be relieved. Tang Yu, if I can, I will take Nai Ronghai's life myself." Okay, Taoran's original plan was to start with Nai Hua first. After all, he was the direct murderer of Tangzu. "Don't worry. For the time being, you should focus on recuperation and recovery. Even if Nai Ronghai falls, he is still powerful, and cannot be killed by Tang Yu now." As Taoran said this, he had a plan in mind. When the results of Nai Ronghai's treatment come down, she will have to get another benefit from those old men. Thanks to the babies for their monthly votes, thanks to Reset Lai Hua Wivua, Brother Long and other babies for their rewards. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 656. Military trials are very clear-cut. Witnesses and physical evidence have come to light one after another, and everything is clear. But on the opposite side, Nai Ronghai could not explain anything clearly and could not prove anything. He worked hard outside the trial. The De family, his supporters, and his old friends all wanted to help, but now that the head of state has stepped down and made his position clear, any relationship is at a dead end. Even though Nai Ronghai strongly stated in the end that he was wronged and put all the responsibility on the dead Peng Fei, the military still unanimously approved that he was suspected of harboring, covering up, and helping to escape. Congress also remained unanimously silent. The Eighth Army faced a choice, either to give up Nai Ronghai, or the Eighth Army may also face a thorough investigation. In the end, the Eighth Army did not dare to continue to defend Nai Ronghai. One day later, Nai Ronghai received a notice that all his duties were suspended. The military department also gave the result and his military post was temporarily withdrawn. Of course, in order to protect the face of the alliance's military and government, the results will be kept secret for the time being. The Congress issued an announcement in the name of Nai Ronghai, stating that due to physical reasons after the last injury, he would temporarily resign from all positions and withdraw from the race for the head of state. No matter how unconvinced Nai Ronghai was, he had no other choice. He could only obey the arrangement and spend the next 2 years relaxing. His old friend told him that this was the reason why the military had given him some mercy for the sake of his early military achievements and candidate status. Otherwise, Not only he and the Diff family will be thoroughly investigated, but their entire family may face imprisonment or surveillance. What makes Nai Ronghai even more depressed is that his news, after only a brief moment of exposure, was submerged in the overwhelming public praise for the current head of state and the First Army. It's just that Nabelu has done many evil things and has a bad reputation. The First Army and the head of state captured him, which is really satisfying. The video of Belu blowing up an empty building that night, and also rampantly killing people and bombing cars, is overwhelming. Will the public not celebrate when they see such a devil being brought to justice? As a result, the First Army, which had been depressed for many years, was finally remembered and talked about by people again. The achievements and good deeds that the First Army has quietly accomplished over the years have also begun to be picked out. Shi Mo also gained a lot of exposure in a short period of time, and his support rate took advantage of the situation to rise. He replaced Nai Ronghai and came to second place among the 4 candidates. The Eighth Army was naturally unwilling to do so. After years of hard work, the fruits were in sight, but the fruit soon rotted. Being suppressed for no apparent reason this time can be described as traumatic. If they want to avoid being beaten in the next 10 years, they will naturally have to do something. Logically speaking, they can still find a way to elect a new candidate to fill the vacancy. However, there is not much time before the general election, and recommending new candidates now is purely time-consuming, laborious, and thankless. So instead of doing that, they might as well choose a group of forces to support from the existing candidates. They began to secretly contact Bienda, the candidate supported by the 5 armed forces, and agreed to secretly join forces. The cooperation would start with winning the Rookie King and the Military Academy competition more than 5 months later. Nai Ronghai, who lost his job, had his wings cut off and was not in any danger for the time being. On this day, several old men and Taoran and Tang Yu finally sat down to face each other. Tang Yu, come to the First Army. Wizen extended the invitation very solemnly. Now that Nai Ronghai is free, he will definitely suspect that you are the mastermind of this incident, and he will definitely look for you. Instead of hiding around, you might as well join the First Army. We can protect you. So should the Kona. Even if Nai Ronghai finds out that you are in the First Army, he has scruples and would not dare to deal with you at will. This is the most worry-free and safe way for you. Especially since you need to recuperate now, you also need professional training for revenge. Thank you. But I refuse. Tang Yu rejected them before the old men finished speaking. I will not join any military department of Central Star. I also do not want to be involved in any political battles. Tang Yu's eyes were indifferent, and when she mentioned the word politics, contempt flashed across her face. The First Army saved her after all, so she didn't shy away from it and directly told the reason. It was the Central Military Headquarters that gave up on me back then. She sneered. My parents were also soldiers, so I respected soldiers since I was a child. They died young, so I joined the army at a young age. I carried the sense of mission of a soldier on my back and worked hard. I regard the army as my home, and I protect my family. Country, fighting on the front lines. But what happened more than 20 years ago completely chilled me. That time, on that war-torn planet, when Dissy led people to rescue Nai Ronghai, Tang Yu found out that the man she thought she could spend the rest of her life with and planned to marry after getting out of trouble had already married the old man of the Diff family before his death in order to inherit part of the Diff family's property. Dis received her certificate and had a child. She became a third child. She would never forget the contempt in the eyes of Dis and those people, who used all kinds of unbearable words and gestures to humiliate her. She was angry, aggrieved, and rational. She knew that it was Nai Ronghai's scum and conspiracy that caused her situation. So she went to the top of the Central Military Commission and demanded that Nai Ronghai be severely punished and Nai Ronghai be dealt with to seek justice. She didn't want any compensation, she just wanted an explanation. She thought that the military department she trusted and relied on would make the decision for her. But after 3 days of abuse and humiliation, she only waited for a notification. It was the punishment and requirements imposed on her by the Central Military Commission. She was given a serious demerit. Because she interfered in other people's marriages, she was asked to kneel down and apologize to Dissy and the Diff family, admitting that she had seduced Nai Rong Hai. To her, this is simply ridiculous. Compared to Dis, she is more of a victim, okay. She didn't believe that the military would impose such a punishment. She asked her superiors for confirmation, but was told that if she didn't do what was asked, she might not be able to stay in the military anymore. Nai Rong Hai also found someone to persuade her, asking her to feel aggrieved first, and he would definitely give her an explanation. Yu Tan, who had always been proud, couldn't accept it. Not only because of Nai Rong Hai, but also because of the collapse of faith. The military department, which she regarded as her home, chose Nai Rong Hai without hesitation for the sake of the Diff family's wealth and influence, regardless of right or wrong. At that moment, her sense of belonging to the military was gone. How could such an organization be worthy of her reliance, and why should she work for it? She left resolutely, leaving behind only a scolding and abusive letter of accusation. She used her authority to directly copy it to everyone she knew and didn't know in the Central Army. The military department was disgraced. At the request of the Diff family, it had no choice but to deal with the aftermath and remove her from the list while silencing everyone. At that time, I had no worries and nowhere to go. I really wanted to die, but life was given by my parents and was their continuation. So many people worked hard to survive. How could I live in a mess? Go to hell and meet your underground parents. So I moved away. Xiaozu's arrival is regarded by me as God giving me another home. In the past 20 years, I have been very fulfilled and happy. In the days to come, I will only live for my daughter and me. I will never get involved in politics again. Fortunately, you are from the First Army and not from the Central Military Headquarters. Otherwise, I might not be able to sit and chat with you in peace. Several old men were silent. Tang Yu has a calm and resolute personality and will not be easily shaken. Their wish may be in vain. Fellow old men, I do have a place that is convenient for Ms. Tang to recuperate without fear that Nai Rong Hai will find it. Tao Ran smiled. I wonder if you guys know about the Kot Star. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 657. Kot Star, not only Zhou Heiya's concern, but also a place Tao Ran has been thinking about a lot lately. After all, there is a group of brothers there with an inexhaustible supply of spiritual stones. Although Tang Yu wanted to kill Nai Rong Hai, the gap in strength between them was too big. And Tang Yu's recovery time only takes a year or two, how can he come in time? But what if she practices? The spiritual energy cleanses the essence and marrow and nourishes the body, which will definitely be of great benefit to her. Her mental power is so high, she must be able to touch the door, right? If Tang Yu recuperates on the Kota planet, he will definitely get twice the result with half the effort. Then her desire to take revenge with her own hands will be realized as soon as possible. Tao Ran became more determined. I have acquaintances in Kot Star. Go there. I can make arrangements with those brothers around. Tang Yu could live a comfortable life no matter whether he wanted to live in the mining area or in the neighborhood. But that's a garbage star, several old men shouted in unison. There are good places and good people in the garbage planet. How about you think about it again? Tao Ran had seen a few people sincerely. This is the last request I will make to the First Army in the short term. After this is done, I will do my best to help you fight for the newcomer king. Well, she was asking for help, not asking for it. She is the hope of the First Army. Of course they couldn't refuse her. Joheiya had inquired a long time ago that if a commercial aircraft wants to go to Kotstar, it not only requires a lot of procedures, but also a legal commercial contract and official certification. It is not only troublesome, but also difficult to handle. Otherwise, the protection system of the Kotstar would not allow it to land at all. Therefore, using the military and using an above-board approach may be the easiest and most convenient way to get to the planet Kot. What do you think? Chaoran asked Tang Yu again. Tang Yu said that she trusted Baofu. Since Baofu said that Kotstar was good, she would go to Kotstar. The old men didn't say no after all. When Chaoran sent them away, he added, "When you help me go through the procedures for the special category, you'd better help me find a way to find a convenient way. I have relatives and friends there, and I'm afraid I have to visit them often." She smiled and closed the door, blocking out the old men's expressions of toothache. These old men had deceived her so badly before, so naturally she had to let them understand that she was not someone to be taken advantage of. 10 days later, Chaoran and Tang Yu boarded the aircraft to planet Kot. This time, Wu Yu, in disguise, led the team and accompanied them again. Wu Yu was a little depressed. Ever since he discovered this SS-level mental student, why was he, as an instructor, not a bodyguard, an assistant, or a driver? In fact, Wu Yu's following was the result of a lot of bargaining between Chaoran and the old men. According to Chaoran's opinion, she had too many secrets on Kot planet, and it was best not to need any outsiders. But the old men had just the opposite idea, they just wanted to match her with more people. Said, first, she is now the treasure of the First Army, so she must not make any mistakes. The second is that the complex population of Kotstar may be dangerous, and the third is Tang Yu's identity. All of these require caution. Kona said he was so anxious that his beard almost flew up. You are mysterious to begin with, and you are covered in secrets. Now that you are determined to go to Kot planet, the first military academy is afraid, and the First Army is also worried. Afraid that you will cause trouble there, afraid that you will cause trouble there, afraid of us. The First Army can't hold it back, and I'm afraid that what you do will harm the First Army. Chaoran's ears hurt from the noise and she could only ask someone close to her to follow her. Therefore, Wu Yu became the best choice. Mi Hongyu also followed. In fact, Chaoran had been refusing all morning, but to no avail. This guy still found his own way to get on the starship, euphemistically calling it long experience. And the biggest advantage of taking him with you is that he covers all the expenses along the way. Well, it's mandatory. Of course, since it was Hwick planet, how could Chaoran forget to take Joheiya with him? The guy almost fainted with excitement. After knowing that he could bring whatever luggage he wanted, he spent 3 days preparing large and small bags. He only brought 10 turnover boxes for various fruits. Half of the entire aircraft was filled with food and drinking supplies. When Wu Yu saw this, she expressed strong opposition, while Chaoran patted him on the shoulder and expressed her belief in his ability to unload the goods undetected. In addition, they brought Vincent with them. This thing was a gift from Chaoran to Tang Yu. Tang Yu is willing to take him with him. Since we are old friends, you have to continue to be my neighbor. In order to avoid being lonely in a foreign country, this is what Tang Yu said. She asked to make a large iron cage for Vincent and put an alloy box outside. Only then did Chaoran realize that this was how Tang Yu was taken away in a cage. You should also feel everything I have experienced. Tang Yu squatted in front of Vincent's cage and injected Vincent with a dose of medicine. This medicine did not make him comatose or incapacitated, but made him unable to speak. She just wanted to make Vincent speechless and powerless, and to make him clearly understand the helplessness, despair, and pain he once felt. The procedures for traveling to Kotstar were completed quickly. The First Army had a mission on the garrison planet, and it was normal to deal with the exile of war criminals. With a little effort, they got the exile procedures for the Kot planet. They now have a good cooperation with the Central Military Department because of the last incident, and they got the approval almost on the same day. Joheiya was not calm all the way, excited and nervous. Taoran could only tell everyone who didn't know why, saying that Joheiya's godson was exiled to the planet Kot, and he was abnormal because he was happy. When he set foot on Kit's land again, Joheiya couldn't stand it anymore and burst into tears for a while. He wanted to run away every day that day, and thought about it day and night after leaving. He never thought that this barren land would still remind him of it. Tang Yu also had tears in his eyes. This is where my daughter almost died. The aircraft flew over the 8th district. Looking at the barren land, Tang Yu's teeth and fists clicked together. How lonely and hopeless does it feel to die in a foreign land, unable to do anything. My daughter is even worse off than me. But what did my daughter miss? She is just an ordinary person. Tang Yu secretly made a decision. After Joheiya got a Kotstar's optical brain, successfully contacted Mugwang, and told them about his new relationship with Baofu, he finally made up his mind. Everyone is fine. After he and Taoran left, Kotstar officials did not doubt their death. As they had guessed before, the mining rights continued to remain in the hands of the team. As expected, the government paid a large pension to Tao Buran and Joheiya for their sacrifice in the line of duty. That money allowed the brothers in the team to buy real estate. Spending all the money on everyone was what Taoran meant that day. Mugwang has been working hard during this period, leading the team to do a good job, and has no excessive desires, so the officials are quite satisfied with him. Their lives were peaceful. 3 hours after arriving on Kot Planet, Mugwang drove his hover car and met them in the yard of the 4th area before Joheiya. Half a year later, because of the mining rights, the team is rich and powerful, and the block under management has become larger. There are also several more properties belonging to the team. However, Joheiya's property has not changed at all. Taoran was lying on his old bed, lamenting the days when his legs were broken and he couldn't even walk. Tang Yu's eyes darkened again and again as he listened to Taoran and Joheiya reminiscing about the past. Her daughter has suffered a lot. Mugwang ran over whimpering, and when he saw Taoran, he burst into tears again. I never thought we would see each other again in this lifetime. He really thought that the last separation was forever. He came up to hug Taoran, but was kicked out by Mi Hongyu. Taoran was funny and angry. I haven't seen him for half a year, but this guy's physical fitness is still so bad. When Mugwang saw Taoran smiling, he sat down on the ground and cried even more sadly. You. He pointed at Mi Hongyu. Sure enough, you only see the new ones laughing, but not the old ones crying. It's in vain that I miss you every day. I miss you and I've done everything in the past. Seeing that he was about to talk nonsense, Taoran quickly stepped forward and covered his mouth, telling him not to forget that Taoran and Joheiya were dead. Mi Hongyu was pushed away, and they talked for a while, and finally decided to send Tang Yu to the mining area. There are only my own people there, so it's relatively safer. It's still open there, no one cares about what you do, and you can live comfortably. So after sending Wu Yu and others to live in a government hotel, and locking up Mi Hongyu who was as clingy as a follower, Taoran took Tang Yu and Joheiya, packed Vincent in the box, and headed to the mining area. As soon as they arrived, the entire mining area got excited and burst into tears. When they heard that they could only stay for 48 hours at most, the group cried even harder. Joheiya shed tears and took out the gift he had carefully prepared. Every brother, including Erpai's mother, has them all. He bought him for a huge sum of money and brought whole barrels of fine wine. I'll treat everyone to a buffet. Boxes of food stored in fresh packaging were taken out, and everyone staggered even more crying. In those days when we could only afford low-grade nutritional solutions, everyone had a unified dream, well, not a dream, just a dream. It would be nice to have a buffet for once in this life. The ingredients of Cocoa Star are too expensive. The price of one organic cauliflower is equivalent to 10 bottles of intermediate nutrient solution. How can they afford it? Tao Ran had suffered a lot here, so no matter how difficult it was to transport the things Zhou Heiya had prepared this time, she would rather ask Wu Yu than refuse to take them. In the mine, everyone let themselves go, laughing and cursing without restraint. He eats meat and drinks a lot, he can act wildly, he can speak without thinking, and everyone is simple and direct. Tang Yu was immediately satisfied with this place and the people here. Now she likes all pure people and things. Tao Ran handed Tang Yu to Mu Guang and asked him to take good care of him in the future. Is this your mother? Mu Guang asked. Tao Ran couldn't say no, he could only say yes. Mu Guang grabbed Tang Yu's arm as if he had been given a shot of chicken blood. If Tang Yu hadn't thought that he might have to rely on this person in the future, he would have almost kicked him away. Mu Guang patted his chest. Don't worry, I will definitely take good care of my future mother-in-law. Tao Ran didn't speak, but Tang Yu shook his hand away. You are too weak. If you want to be my son-in-law, I will not agree. You're not attracted to that person named me, are you? Mu Guang looked sour. He's no good. You two are so good at each other, I don't even like you. Tang Yu smiled, she was quite happy that her daughter was popular. Let me know when you win. Mu Guang's face twitched. You are indeed a mother and daughter, and you are always ready to fight. You know that I am the worst at fighting. Stop being so talkative. Tao would be dead otherwise. I'm your sister. Tao Ran turned to Tang Yu again. From now on, you should take good care of Mu Guang. I have always been worried about him. If he does something unreliable, you should take good care of him. Well, let Mu Guang take care of Tang Yu and let Tang Yu control the team. This is also one of the reasons why Tao Ran wants Tang Yu to come to Cocoa Star. In fact, Daoran has never been worried about these guys from Cocoa Star. The rules of this planet are simple, and they are used to going straight. Most of them have simple ideas. She became their eldest sister with little effort that day. There is no guarantee that one day they will be sold to someone without even knowing it. In addition, Mu Guang is too emotional, but Tang Yu is very rational. With her here, she can make rules and restrain everyone. With Tang Yu, they should be safe even if 3 more Lu 11 come. Tao Ran dragged Mu Guang aside. Have you read the notes I left behind? Looked at it? Have you finished your studies? Tao Ran was blind and couldn't tell whether this guy had practiced or not. Didn't you notice? My skin is much better than before. It's silky smooth. Is this a cleansing of the essence? Then what? There is no more. You didn't continue practicing. Sister, I'm busy. I'm busy delivering goods and going to work. I'm busy taking care of the food, drink, and toileting of dozens of brothers. I just take a break from doing maintenance. Maintenance. Tao Ran was speechless for such a waste of natural resources. No wonder this guy still has a scumbag body and can't resist being beaten. She dragged Mu Guang toward the deserted mine. The guy crossed his arms and crossed his chest. Why are you taking me to the wilderness in the middle of the night? Don't you still have evil thoughts about me? Stop being a monster to me. Tao Ran directly dragged him away and lifted him up. I'll show you a lot of things. She originally wanted to use the most basic technique to turn her arms into vines. But after thinking about it, I gave up. She was afraid of ruining someone's worldview, so she used half Qigong and half spiritual energy to lead him around the mines. But in Mu Guang's eyes, it has exceeded human limits, and the dazzling teleportation also challenges his scientific worldview. Are you a human? After a few seconds, the guy said the words that Tao Ran had been hearing all the time recently. At this time, the two of them were already at the top of a very high mine. Hurry up and let me go. You're too rough. I can't bear it anymore. Mu Guang struggled to get away, but to no avail. Tao Ran grabbed him by the collar and dragged him off the cliff. Mu Guang screamed. The screams continued until the two landed smoothly. Did you see it? This is the physical fitness I have developed. If you practice hard, your physical fitness will follow suit. Give me 2 years. Before I arrange to take you away from the planet, the brothers will all rely on you to take care of them. You have to keep getting stronger. Tao Ran has already thought about it. Once she wins the Rookie King, when she Mo takes over, and with the support of the Alliance head of state, it should be easy for her to take some people away from Kot Planet. 2 chapters in 1. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 658. Tao Ran loves the mining area so much. The abundant and majestic spiritual energy made her feel like a mouse thrown into mission. After explaining what she wanted to explain, she devoted herself to practice. Mu Guang followed her request and piled up all the spiritual stones mined these days into a warehouse. The warehouses in the mining area are large enough, each one is several hundred square meters. In half a year, 2 warehouses have been built for her. I'm so happy. This time the starship can take away at least half of the warehouse's spiritual stones. She no longer has to pick at Sosa's spiritual stones. Everything was green, and Tao Ran's soul was trembling with the aura coming in front of him. Her whole body was wrapped in warm spiritual energy, and she could no longer walk. Sit down quickly. By the time she was called to eat by Zhou, it was already broad daylight. When I asked, it was already noon the next day. However, there were very few people eating lunch. Where have everyone gone? After asking, I found out that Mu Guang and Mi Hongyu were having a mental battle in a room on the Kot Star network. And many brothers went to watch and place bets. It turned out that Mi Hongyu, who was imprisoned yesterday by Tao Ran in the Zhuhai residence in District 4, was full of resentment. After trying several times with no hope of escaping, he borrowed the Kurt optical brain from the guard there. He contacted Mu Guang and issued a challenge. They already disliked each other, and Mu Guang was still thinking about the revenge of being kicked yesterday, so he naturally agreed. The two of them opened a room in Star Network and have been fighting since last night. They have competed in 10 projects and they haven't stopped yet. What's the outcome? It's basically a tie. Really, Tao Ran was pleasantly surprised. Mi Hongyu's mental strength is S-, and Mu Guang's is A+. Logically speaking, there is a slight gap. But now Mu Guangneng and Mi Hongyu are tied, doesn't it mean? Tao Ran found Mu Guang and pulled him out of the game. How long has it been since you tested your mental strength? Long time. Perhaps the method I taught you has played a role in promoting it. The soul nourished by spiritual energy has become stronger, promoting the improvement of mental power. At Tao Ran's urging, Mu Guang took the test, and sure enough, his progress was reflected in the data. His mental power finally entered the S-level range. S-. It has been 5 years since I made a breakthrough in my mental strength, Mu Guang cried again. After another test, his physical fitness also improved a little. It's just that he was too weak before, so his progress was not obvious at all. I will practice hard in the future. Good. Tao Ran gave him another notebook. She prepared this for him on the starship. It contains her martial arts training experience and some basic ancient martial arts skills. The reason why I gave it to Mu Guang was for the same reason. Tao Ran thought that after he left in the future, this team would have to rely on themselves for everything. After all, they had suffered together, and she hoped they would be safe. Zhou Heiya's ability is just that. Mu Guang is young, and the team will still need him to support him in the future. If Mu Guang can improve both physically and mentally, why should the team worry about the future? Didn't I bring 2 boxes of health-building potions yesterday? Drink 1 tube a week. Don't be reluctant. I'll give it to you after you finish it. Can we really be able to leave in the future? Yes. Joheiya has prepared the house for you. Mugwan cried again, as long as you say this, I will always wait for you. Even if you don't come back, I will always be grateful to you, remember you, and bless you. Taoran put the note into his grasped hand and told him to go and read it quickly. If he didn't understand something, she could answer his questions quickly while she was still there. Taoran noticed that Tang Yu had only come back now. After following Tang Yu for a walk in the afternoon, Taoran realized what she had done all morning. Deep in the mine, there is a large cliff. Standing at the edge of the cliff at the top of the mountain, leaning out and looking down, I could see a large iron cage hanging in the air on the cliff. And in the cage, there was a whimpering Vincent. I plan to keep him here for the time being, Tang Yu said. There is revenge. He has to endure the despair in the cage, the pain in the dark room, and the struggle of being powerless, before he can empathize with the crimes he committed. And these are just what I suffered. He owed Zaizu more. Zaizu had called him uncle for so many years and trusted him so much, but he stabbed Zaizu who was alone at the time. Zaizu's pain was many times more than mine. If you owe a debt, you must pay it back. From that day on, Vincent was trapped in that no man's land, and he could only get half a bottle of the worst nutritional solution every 2 days. And this little nutrition can basically only keep him alive. When you look up, you can see only a sliver of sky, and when you look down, you can see cliffs thousands of feet high. They are exposed to wind and sun, hungry and cold, and no one comes to save them or pay attention to them. He was in pain and despair, and naturally he regretted it even more. He knew he was wrong. But it's too late. Many times, he hoped that the iron chain could be broken and that he could fall into the abyss. However, the terrible thing was that he was so weak that he did not even have the ability to die. Tang Yu told him that if Zaizu didn't come back, he would be trapped here forever, unable to live or die. Kit's trip is over. Taoran returned to military school life. She worked harder than she had in the previous months, which made the bosses even more gratified to see her. The competition for the military academy Rookie King is divided into 2 parts. Individuals and groups. According to Taoran's idea, she wanted to win them all. There is no doubt about her personal ability, and the combat effectiveness and cohesion of the team she leads are also growing. She and Wu Yu are both ruthless people, and they use different methods to stimulate everyone. There is also Magia's generous, mandatory, sponsorship. You will get money for refreshing your own record. Your comrades who surpass your own goals will get money. You will get money for completing the training plan for the day the fastest. You will get money for being first in the group, and you will get money for winning the group competition. The ability to get money after winning the intra-school confrontation made everyone excited. The biggest temptation is to be told that as long as they win the military academy competition, each of them can get 50,000 star coins. Taoran proudly said that she would also give everyone another 50,000 star coins per person. Coupled with the prize money from the competition and the rewards from the school, this will undoubtedly allow them to reach the pinnacle of life in this step. On the other hand, if they lose, they will have to cancel all their vacations, and the whole class will be demoted to Class C, and they will also have to accept the hell mode punishment formulated by Wu Yu. One step is the difference between heaven and hell. Everyone held their breath, tightened the string, and vowed to take that step. The first military academy organized several intra-school competitions, including holographic and actual combat. In the end, the results of Class 1, Grade 1, improved rapidly from 3 losses and 1 win in the first month to 3 consecutive wins in the third month. The First Army gave full support, and in the last month, military camps were opened for them. There they were once again promoted. On the eve of the game, Shi Mo showed up in person and gave them a dose of chicken blood. Shi Mo gave full play to his charisma and made all the students realize that he, as a candidate for leadership, was by no means an idiot. And Taoran is still the most eye-catching student among this class. Not only is her mental strength completely stable at SS, but her physical fitness has finally reached S level after the hard work in the past few months. Now she is ready to deal with Nai Hua. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 659. The Military Academy competition is finally here. The competition is divided into two parts, individual and group. The first one will be the individual competition, and the winner will be awarded the title of Rookie King. In addition to honors, both the individual and the military academy to which he belongs will receive a lot of resources and support. The 6 major military academies will first conduct internal competitions to determine the 6 students with the highest points to participate in the final competition. These 36 people are all the elites of each school and will also be the future hope of the military department, so they have gained the attention of the current head of state and the ordinary people. Taoran, Luke was successfully selected and became the first-grade representative of the 1st Military Academy. Nai Hua from the 3rd Military Academy naturally did his part. Although Nai Ronghai temporarily withdrew from the political stage, Taoran did not relax his surveillance of Nai Hua. In recent months, Nai Ronghai has put all his hopes on his son. They formed a professional team to help Nai Hua improve his abilities. Nai Ronghai also took Nai Hua around a lot, leaving all the contacts and favors he had accumulated over the years to Nai Hua. Although he seemed to have collapsed, the team was not disbanded and should have been handed over to Nai Hua. Probably because he was afraid that his previous affairs would affect his son's performance in the competition, and that the military would prevent his son from winning the Rookie King because of him. A month ago, after arranging everything, Nai Ronghai submitted an application to the military. Go to a war-torn planet to perform a mission for 5 years. It took only 3 days for the military department to approve it. They still need SS-level spiritual warriors. When Nai Ronghai comes back in 5 years, this election will be over, and they are not afraid of him making trouble again. And his children's property is still in the Central Star, so there is no need to worry about what extraordinary things he will do. Probably due to the use of medical drugs, Nai Hua's physical fitness level has increased recently. Now, his physical fitness has reached S+. Coupled with SS mental strength, he becomes the most powerful candidate for the Rookie King. In terms of physical and mental strength, Nai Hua was not the strongest among those compared. But he is the most experienced among this group of people and has the strongest practical experience. He was originally a 3rd-year student, and he had participated in various competitions over the years. Under Nai Ronghai's operation, he also participated in 8th Army missions many times. Nai Ronghai also devoted his experience to teaching him and invited various famous teachers to teach him. Teaching, the combination of these made Nai Hua the most famous, most prestigious, and most capable among this group of students. For example, in terms of mechas, he can skillfully operate all of the dozen or so mechas most widely used in the Alliance. His total time of training and using mechas has exceeded 1,000 hours. In comparison, Taoran, who was short on time, had only trained on 4 types of mechas, and the total training time was only about 100 hours. As for Luke, even less. Although Wu Yu opened the mecha authority to him, so far, he is good at using only 2 mechas, and the total driving and training time is less than 80 hours. From this point on, Nai Hua is destined to have a much higher starting point than others. Therefore, on the official competition betting list, Nai Hua's support rate is far ahead. And girls like Baofu, who was the only one to compare, were naturally not favored at all. Unlike Nai Hua, who has an approval rate of 23%, Taoran's approval rate is less than 0.5%, which is really sad to see. In fact, it's not the public's fault. Her information is still the same as when she entered the military academy. Even if SS mental strength level is outstanding, her A-level physique is really not good enough, and she may not be able to sustain the consumption of the mecha for a long time. Everyone knows that the second stage of the Rookie King competition is mecha. Strength determines everything, you can't just rely on luck to get promoted. Taoran looked at the official website data and couldn't help but squint his eyes. This scene seems familiar. So, she handed over a huge task to Mi Hongyu and Zhou Heiya. She paid a large sum of money and asked them to get a few fake identities and choose reliable channels to buy herself the newcomer king when the odds were the highest. Zhou Heiya knew Taoran's tricks and went ahead without saying a word. Now he focuses on making money. He would have food to eat with Sister Tao, even if she didn't tell him, he would have spent a lot of money. Sister, you are not short of money, are you? Mi Hongyu was speechless. What plate should I buy? Your family is not short of money, so why are you still making money? I was speechless. Making money makes me happy. Spending money makes me happier. Don't worry, this is partial wealth. I will donate at least half of the money I earn. The competition begins. The competition venue is at the Central Military Headquarters. The preliminary rounds will be conducted first, and 36 will advance to 10. Points system. Examine 5 parts. The 10 people with the highest points advance, and the others are eliminated immediately. In the second part, 10 will advance to 5, and the top 5 will be determined in a one-on-one mecha duel. The last part will be a 5-person mecha battle until the final winner is found. This is very demanding. It requires not only extraordinary ability and quality, but also an overall vision. Take the words of the head of state who is making a speech on the stage at this moment, the true new king, one person can be equal to thousands of troops. I look forward to your outstanding performance and performance. In this competition, not only the current head of state, but also several candidates for the next head of state election are present, and the personal battle of the new king will also be broadcast live on the Star Network to let the public have a glimpse of the new life. The style of the times. The preliminaries begin. To ensure fairness and justice, the competition items were decided by the military headquarters last night. The first event of the competition is the cross-country obstacle course. Similar to a triathlon. The first one to finish will get 100 points, the second one will have 97 points, the third one will have 94 points, and so on. The main thing that is tested is physical fitness. After all, Taoran's physical fitness on the data was only A+. In order to make the odds look better, she was not in a hurry. Because after entering the second stage, the points earned now are of little use except for deciding the order of selecting mechas. So there is no need for her to expose her strength and do these beautiful but useless things. But that's not the case for others. Because the choice of mecha will be crucial to them. Alternative mechas have been lined up in the square. There are a total of 20 types of mechas with different functional categories. Those with higher points in the first stage can be selected first. Several of the assault armors, which are small in size, flexible in size, and powerful in function, are undoubtedly the best choice for one-on-one confrontations. However, there are only 4 assault-type mechas in total, so for most people, it is not only to ensure promotion in the first stage, but also to get as many points as possible, which can even affect how far they can go in the subsequent competition. Taoran had no such worries. Because she had already taken a fancy to the biggest, tallest, most powerful, and most colorful guy in the square, the fiery red guy. So handsome. That day, when he went to the First Army's mecha warehouse for the first time, Taoran fell in love with this model at first sight. But at that time, Wu Yu was killed directly because her physical fitness was too poor and she couldn't control it. Later she learned that because heavy mechas require high physical and mental strength, few warriors have chosen them in the past 20 years. Since it was love at first sight, Ran felt that that big guy was just for him. This time, she decided to make the heavy mecha even more cool and exciting. She was sure that no one would compete with her for this heavy armor. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 660. The first event of the first stage competition, the cross-country obstacle race, begins. Ran kept a close eye on Hua's results. After more than 1 hour and 40 minutes of various obstacle courses, Hua finally crossed the finish line in second place. Luke, who has outstanding physical fitness and has made rapid progress after recently practicing internal skills and pranayama, ranked 5th. Ran, who was unhurried, was only in 9th place. The reason for this ranking is because of her. Her goal at this stage is to control her points while advancing. The best result she asked for was to face Hua in the second stage of one-on-one mecha confrontation, and directly kill his performance in the second stage. She wanted to make Hua unable to even enter the top 5, make him lose face, and completely destroy Hai's ideas. The competition format for the second phase has been announced. The total score of the first stage is the confrontation between the first and the 10th, the second against the 9th, the third against the 8th, the fourth against the 7th, and so on. Therefore, in this easy obstacle course, Ran has been controlling the speed. Seeing that Hua finished second, she will grab the 9th place first. Of course, she had acting skills. After crossing the finish line, she showed excitement and satisfaction, and then collapsed to the ground. She successfully convinced everyone that she had exceeded her limit to enter the top 10 and achieved this good result. As a teammate, Luke helped her up with a look of contempt on his face. Taking advantage of her weakness, he accidentally stepped on her, and then walked away with satisfaction. The second project is a real-life shooting team battle. Each of the 6 military academies forms a team of 6 people, working together to fight together. When one is prosperous, both are prosperous; when one is lost, both are harmed. If you are hit in a critical area, you will be eliminated. The team is destroyed when the last person in the team is eliminated. The team that survives to the end is the first place, and each person on the team, including the eliminated teammates, can accumulate 200 points, the second place team gets 170 points, the third place gets 140 points, and so on. This game examines teamwork. The demands on physical and mental strength have increased. The score is very high, the map is large, and the combat range is a mountainous area. Ran raised her eyebrows. She felt that this competition was tailor-made for her. She was sure that of all the people on site, no one was more familiar with the mountainous area than she, who had lived in the mining area. In addition, they have been getting along day and night during the recent training camp, and everyone in their first military academy is already quite familiar with them. In the past month, the 6 of them have conducted many coordinated operations drills with the First Army, and their cooperation has become quite tacit. For the sake of the scores of other team members, Ran did not intend to be conservative in this competition. However, it backfired. At the beginning of the game, the 6 teams were placed at 6 starting points. In less than 3 minutes, Ran and the others discovered that the 3rd Military Academy and the 5th Military Academy led by Hua had joined forces. To make matters worse, they have already identified their target, their 1st Military Academy. As soon as the 2 teams met, they surrounded them from both sides as quickly as possible and moved towards them. The game has just started, and Ran and the others have not even taken a few steps away from the starting point. Need I say more? Hua is here to find a place for his father. The blame for Hai's fall from the altar was entirely blamed on the 1st Military Academy. Ran snorted even more. They joined forces as soon as the competition started, which shows that they had reached an agreement before this competition. These 2 teams are bound to win the Rookie King. Seeing the two school regiments approaching each other step by step, Taoran simply posted his location on the World Channel connected to the 6 major military academies, and at the same time shouted through the world loudspeaker. Listen to all of you, 2nd, 4th and 6th military schools, the 3rd Military Academy and the 5th Military Academy have joined forces, and our 1st Military Academy has sent you their current positions. If your remaining 3 major military academies start a fight now, they will be 100% wiped out by their united forces later. But as long as you cooperate and go to the location to encircle and suppress the alliance between the 3 schools and the 5 schools, half of the 6 teams will disappear within 10 minutes. Each of your 3 teams can guarantee a minimum of 140 points. If you don't come and pick it up quickly, you won't have this chance if you miss this village. Taoran shouted once, but it was not enough, so he shouted 3 times. See how reasonable her shouting is. The pros and cons have been analyzed. But you'd be a fool to come. They are all smart people and can understand immediately. Now it's a comparison between schools. Someone has already joined forces at the beginning of the game, which is obviously premeditated. If the other teams don't kill the big fish while everyone still has strength, they will definitely be caught later. The mantis stalks the cicada and the oriole follows, and the big fish eats the small fish. As long as they close up on the outside, they can ensure the top 3. It is much better than looking for people to fight everywhere. No matter what happens after that, everyone depends on their ability. Will the people from the 3 military academies come over? Chen Di, a 3rd-year student, asked. Taoran, if it were me, I would definitely come. Whether I expose myself like this to die with the alliance of the 3 schools and the 5 schools, or I want to share the firepower with them, but the interests are still concentrated with them after all. Even if only 2 of the 3 military schools came, this means we have achieved our goal. What if no one comes? That means the people in those 3 military academies are all fools and should not be feared. But with my step, the current 3rd Military Academy and the 5th Military Academy are definitely not as inevitable as before. There are wolves in front and tigers in the back. If I were from the 5th school, I wouldn't play with Nai Hua and the others right now. If you are not careful, you will be caught in the middle, and that is the worst consequence. So even if I can't alienate them by doing this, it can make them think ahead and make it impossible for them to attack with all their heart. Then maybe the opportunity will come. What if we can't separate? There's no harm in it. Finish this fight early and go back to rest early. The 6 teams will be here by then, and after a big fight, it will be a quick decision. The water was muddied by her, and it was hard to say who would touch the last fish. In addition, Taoran also wanted to see if the alliance team was strong enough. It would be fine if it broke with just 1 poke. If it still held up, then she would have to take the people from the 5th Military Academy into consideration in the subsequent competition. Indeed, Nai Hua was jumping up and down with anger at this moment. There was only 1 woman among the 36 people in the comparison, so I would like to know who the woman who just shouted with the loudspeaker was. Although he had never had any direct contact with Baofu, for some reason, he felt extremely disgusted from the first moment he saw her. As expected, despicable and shameless. If you have the ability, come and fight. She is so capable, why doesn't she dare to confront him head-on? A scumbag with and physical ability. If he meets her, he will beat her into a dog. It is also embarrassing for the 1st Military Academy to have a woman for such an important competition. No shame. Just because she is a woman, she shouts everywhere with a loudspeaker, she is like a bitch. This is confrontation, how could anyone do it so openly? No martial ethics. Rubbish. Can he not be angry? People from the 5th Military Academy over there have sent a message asking if the cooperation should be broken up for now. If we still play according to the original plan, it will indeed be very dangerous and there is a possibility of being surrounded and killed. Even if you win, it will be disgraceful. So it doesn't make much sense. But Nai Hua gritted his teeth. Our alliance was broken up by a woman's few words. This is really shameful. Instead of doing that, we might as well destroy this first military academy before the other 3 military academies come. In the end, Nai Hua forced the original plan. Tao Ran guessed it. When Tang Zhu met him for the first time, he couldn't hold back his hatred and couldn't help but take action, using the fastest and most ruthless means to retaliate against his enemy. That's the kind of person he is. Luke, it's over. We shouldn't be the first to be eliminated in this game, right? Then we can only get a few dozen points, and the gap with others will be huge. So we have to work hard to survive, Tao Ran smiled. The rule is that the team that survives to the end is the winner. It does not mean that the team that kills the most enemies is the winner. In this case, if we can't win, why can't we hide? Tao Ran had already made plans. Everyone will spread out and hide later, making the best disguise. The environment here is complicated and there are many places for us to hide. If you don't know how to hide, you can follow me and I will help you hide. As long as we don't make any attacks or expose any position, they will have to spend more time looking for us. When the time comes, let's try to hold our breath and concentrate as much as possible, and use the internal energy breathing method I taught you to breathe as little as possible. In this way, even if the opponent has strong mental power, it will be difficult for them to find us in a short time. 4 of these 6 were second and third year seniors, so it was not Tao Ran's turn to give orders. But who made her the honorary instructor of the military academy? They are all her students, so they are not allowed to listen to her? So in this comparison, whether it was an individual battle or a team battle, the position of captain was given to her. We only need to fight for a while, and Nai Hua and the others will face a pincer attack, so their decision must be to make a quick decision and get rid of us first. Then our plan is to delay this period and wait for the other 3 schools to come around time. When they get close, we'll attack too. Nai Hua does not want to be attacked from both sides and wants to destroy us first, so we will let their 3rd military academy and 5th military academy be destroyed first. If they can play 2 against 1, we can play 4 against 2. Just surround them here. Tao Ran was holding stones to demonstrate to the other 5 people. After those 2 teams are destroyed, the remaining 4 teams will definitely be in a melee. It will be a mess, and they won't even notice until the end of the fight. When our team attacked, there were only 5 people out from the beginning. We still have 1 person who has been hiding for a long time. Tao Ran has already arranged the plot clearly. The person hiding was naturally her. With her physical skills, it would be impossible for the people here to hit her unless they surrounded her in a team fight. If she hides until there are only a few people left and then attacks, she will be safe. So let go and shoot. Don't worry, I will survive until the end. I will definitely help the team score these 200 points. Everyone responded. Tao Ran climbed up to the tallest tree around, which was more than 10 meters high. She reached the crown of the tree in less than 3 seconds and stared at everyone. She judged the nearby terrain and found the whereabouts of other teams. She breathed a sigh of relief. Her judgment was very accurate. The 3 teams were indeed approaching, and they were coming from 3 directions. Obviously, they have communicated and intend to cooperate. Following Tao Ran's signal, everyone in the 1st military academy began to retreat. 3 minutes later, Nai Hua led the people to the target area shown by the previous coordinates, but there was no one nearby. After searching for 2 minutes, they still found no one. At this time, they received news that the other 3 teams were quickly approaching. It's really despicable. This is a team shooting game. The entire team of the 1st military academy hid and lost their face. After Nai Hua cursed angrily, he raised his voice. People from the 1st military academy, you are so secretive, and the school has been completely disgraced by you. Didn't the first military academy produce many generals and many heroes? They are not as cowardly as you. Your principal is watching, Chief Shimo is watching, and the people of Star Network are waiting. I'm afraid your performance will disappoint the officers. Even if you win, it will be embarrassing. It's better to come out and confront us head-on. Nai Hua was furious, but unfortunately, there was no response. He was anxious. Really anxious. Because not only was he anxious, everyone at the 5th Military Academy behind him was also anxious. If you can't find anyone and are surrounded again, it's a good thing to be stuck at both ends. Good luck. Nai Hua found a series of footprints on the ground. It's very messy, with several sizes. It's obvious that the people from the First Army ran away from here. Follow the footprints and chase quickly. 2 minutes later, they came to a dead end. In front of it is a cliff. The 12 members of their team cursed secretly in their hearts almost at the same time. Be cheated. Those footprints were a trap, leading them to a dead end. Sure enough, on the world channel of the competition, Tao Ran sent out the specific location of the coalition forces and shouted in text, 12 big fish have been blocked in front of the cliff. Quickly close the net. Damn it! You damn woman! Do you think you are the commander-in-chief? He also gave orders to the other 3 teams. What's hateful is that the other 3 teams actually listened to her. Shame on you. Pooh. Everyone in the 2 schools' joint teams was a little desperate. People were coming from 3 directions, with the cliff behind them and nowhere to go. All the complaining eyes were on Nai Hua. Idiot. Lu Fang, the captain of the 5th Military Academy, couldn't bear it anymore. I really believe that you are evil and I will listen to you. I don't know where your reputation comes from. Nai Hua's face turned red instantly. He knew that he had lost his place as an adult today. What Lu Fang said is probably what everyone watching the live broadcast is thinking. He was so angry. That woman. That Bao Fu. The woman who betrayed her sister and mother and finally joined the First Army was a plague. Sooner or later she will be killed. Nai Hua's finger quickly touched his brain. Listen to me and go from the west. To the west is the 6th Military Academy. You can't judge today, Lu Fang said bluntly. Our 5th Military Academy, from now on, will not listen to your orders. Lu Fang and his 5 men decided to fight a way out before the 3 coalition forces arrived. Let's go east. Cooperate. It was not what he wanted, but the signal from the superior officer. If they continue to cooperate like this, they will be further and further away from the Rookie King. Lu Fang, Nai Hua shouted twice, but to no avail. He was so angry that he gritted his teeth. Tao Ran saw this and was very satisfied. Fighting, unity and trust are important. Confidence and military morale are even more indispensable. It's a pity that all 4 of those 2 teams are gone. Using the cover of wood spiritual energy, Tao Ran hid in a dense bush, perfectly avoiding the prying eyes of the 2 opposing teams' psychics. She aimed at the temple on Nai Hua's helmet and decisively pulled the trigger of the sniper in her hand. 2 chapters in 1. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 661. Porphyrin Sound. Nai Hua's mental power was already very strong, and he sensed danger. From the tree on the left front. There are snipers there. He didn't realize it until now. Nai Hua quickly lowered his head, and a bullet grazed his head. He was just a hair away from being eliminated. He almost thought the danger was saved. But he never expected that the second shot had already arrived. There was only a few tenths of a second between the 2 shots. This is wrong. It is impossible for a sniper rifle to fire continuously in such a short period of time. So, a judgment flashed through his mind: double guns. 1 person, 2 snipers. Aim and shoot almost simultaneously. Who can do this? He subconsciously thought of a woman, his father's third son. But before Nai had time to think deeply, the second bullet had already hit his heart. A solid shot, no deviation. Middle. He was stunned. The combined time of these two shots was less than 1 second. If he hadn't judged the first shot just now, he would have been hit in the temple. In order to avoid it, his conditioned reaction was to lower his head, which would cause his heart to drop. However, the other party seemed to have predicted his behavior, and the second shot still hit his chest accurately. In other words, this second shot was prepared to sink the target early on. This second shot was intended to help patch the first shot from the beginning. How much mental strength is required to seize that critical moment? The other party knew that he was mentally strong enough to capture the information from the first shot, so he deliberately fired the two shots with a slight time difference, allowing him to dodge the first shot and absolutely not be able to escape the second shot. The alarm on Nai has sounded. He became the first person to be eliminated among the 36 people in this round. He could barely take it. Such accuracy, such dual guns, such mental strength, such ability to use both forces at once. He rummaged through his memory, and only that woman's name appeared in his mind. Yuten. Nai couldn't move and fell to the ground. This is the competition rule. The armor they wear will automatically determine that once a vital point is hit, they will be out of the game immediately. In order not to affect the competition of others, the person who was shot can no longer move or speak, and will fall on the spot like a dead corpse. Nai felt like he was going crazy. This is not the result he wants. He is the first candidate for the Rookie King of this competition. What does that count now? With his performance like this, let alone effectively organizing an alliance with the 5th Military Academy, I'm afraid even the people from the 3rd Military Academy would not accept him. This was not what he expected. How could he keep going? And besides all this confusion and unwillingness, he was also completely confused. In an instant, a lot of question marks appeared in his mind. Yutan is here? But among the 36 people, there was only one woman. Only Baofu. Could it be that Baofu is Yutan? How ridiculous. Impossible. But, is it possible that Yutan is pretending to be Baofu? Or changed his name to Baofu? Could it be that the person my sister and mother had contact with before was not Baofu but Yutan? That Sanur? Naihua's world was completely in chaos. Did Yutan have plastic surgery? Did the 1st Military Academy cover her up? Otherwise. Even though my dad is so mentally strong, he still can't take down the dual gun skills. A little girl, a freshman, that's even more impossible. Over the years, apart from Yutan, he has never heard of anyone else who can control mental power separately. By the way, Dad said before that he might have arrested the wrong person more than 2 years ago, and it was not Yutan. The real Yutan appeared a while ago. Therefore, no wonder he felt disgusted when he saw Baofu, and no wonder Baofu was targeting him, because they were old enemies. No. He has to go find his father and ask. Naihua was forced to quit the game in a daze, and then watched his teammates who reacted immediately shoot at the tree where the bullets were fired. But except for a flying bird and an afterimage, they saw nothing. Everyone was collectively surprised. What speed is this? They immediately panicked. The strongest one among them was eliminated in this way? Tao Ran has disappeared far away. When she was on Kot Star, she gave the practice notes and methods to Tang Yu and asked her to practice with Mu Guang. In fact, in order to thank Tao Ran, Tang Yu divided her most precious spiritual power into 2 parts and gave them to Tao Ran after being rescued. Unlike when he deceived Nai Ronghai at the shooting range before, Tao Ran really learned the essence this time. In recent months, she has been able to use the skill skillfully through hard practice. The 2 shots just fired were, firstly, to disgrace Nai Hua and frustrate his self-confidence, and secondly, to expose the location of this group of people again. When the gunshots are fired, the specific directions of the other 3 school units will be given. Third, I just saw that Nai Hua had been contacting someone with his brain, and then persuaded Lu Fang to go west with him, towards the 6th Military Academy. At that time, Tao Ran suspected that there might be some of Nai Hua's people at the 6th Military Academy. After thinking about it, instead of giving him a chance to escape, it would be better to just kill him with 2 shots. Of course there is another reason. Tao Ran knew that once his twin guns showed up, Nai Hua would definitely find Nai Ronghai and ask about Yu-Tan after this incident was over. What would Nai Ronghai do if he knew that Yu-Tan appeared again? Will you be nervous? Will you get angry? Will it be out of control? He has just left for the front line. The mission will last for 5 years. During this period, he is not allowed to leave the station without a warrant. I wonder if he will come back for revenge? Come back to find out? Come back and do something stupid? As long as he dares to show up, Tao Ran will find a way to accuse him of colluding with terrorist organizations and killing alliance officers. He failed to be sent to a military court last time, and this time, he won't be able to do so. Coupled with his desertion behavior, he can't escape. If possible, Tao Ran would want Nai Ronghai to be exiled to the planet Kot, where he would undergo Tang Yu's trial and experience the suffering that his own daughter had suffered. Tao Ran repeated his old tricks. In fact, the footprints discovered by Nai Hua and the others were not her deception to the unit. Their people did come to the edge of the cliff. However, her friends were all hung by her in the depression of the cliff. The physically strong one like Luke went down the cliff by herself, while the 2 weaker senior brothers were led down by her. Looking down from above, we can't see anyone hanging on the cliff because there are rocks blocking our view. Of course, even if they are discovered, as long as they don't come down, they won't be able to be hit at all. At this moment, the 5 groups of people were fighting together. The effect of the encirclement and suppression was immediate. The joint forces of the 3rd Military Academy and the 5th Military Academy were blocked in their path and had no way out. They had nowhere to escape or hide, and they directly became the target of the other 3 teams. Gunfire continued. Within a few minutes, Nai Hua's 2 teams were wiped out one after another. At this time, everyone in the 1st Military Academy finally climbed back to the edge of the cliff. So, taking advantage of the melee between the 3 armies, the people from the 1st Military Academy became Oriole this time. Tao Ran shot from a distance, and his teammates fired cold shots from the edge of the cliff. Instead, they became the outer circle and took advantage. When only 7 of the 18 players from the other 3 teams were left, only one from the 1st Military Academy was eliminated. The tables were turning in their favor. The 7 people began to flee in all directions, and Tao Ran gave the order to attack with all his strength. Her speed is so fast and her mental strength is so high that no one she targets can escape. In addition to her excellent shooting accuracy, she is also good at using dual guns. And the most amazing thing is that unlike others, she uses her legs to move around the mountain road. But she was running from this tree to that tree, occupying a commanding position the whole time. Is she a descendant of Tarzan? With her sniping skills, no one can escape. Moreover, what kind of mental power does this monster have? How come she was able to detect them despite their perfect cover? Everyone was very depressed. Only then did many people realize that this only woman in Dabi was not weak at all. The final result of this game was exactly as Tao Ran had predicted. She said that if those 3 schools came to encircle and suppress them, it would be a quick battle and a round of competition where they could rest early. That's half true. In the end, their 1st Military Academy cleared the field and scored 200 points. The 3rd Military Academy led by Nai Hua was Tao Ran's main target, and it was no surprise that they came last. In this way, the score difference widened. All 6 people from the 3rd Military Academy ranked outside the top 20. The total duration of this round was only half an hour. According to the official setting, it would take at least 2 to 4 hours for the 6 military academies to complete the final victory over these 3 hills. So when it was done, it was amazing. Tauran alone knocked out 9 people. By the end of this battle, there were still 3 people left in the 1st Military Academy, which was considered a great victory. From being completely weak, to reversing the situation, and then to a strong counterattack, the 1st Military Academy and Tauran became famous in a battle. Almost all the information in front of everyone on the podium turned to Baofu's page. This girl is so surprising. She Mo also received a lot of attention at once. Now the head of state smiled at him and said, "There are successors to the First Army." Shi Mo smiled, "They are all serving the alliance." This interaction was caught by the media and became a hot topic. Now the head of state is also optimistic about the First Army. Unconsciously, everyone from Baofu, First Army, to Shi Mo gained a wave of popularity. On seeing Wang, Nai Hua, who was praised as a god before the game but whose actual ability was not enough, was scolded as a Xiang. There is no way, many people have invested money to buy him. Now it seems that the greater the hope, the greater the disappointment. Mad. At this time, Nai Hua's mentality was a little broken because of the results of this round. He was actually a little scared. Of course, the person who was afraid was not Baofu, but the fear that Baofu was Yutan. So how could he possibly win? He contacted his father. But his father told him that there was still no news about Yutan. Even Vincent is missing. Nai Hua is worried that Yutan will come to him for revenge. After all, he killed Tangzu. If Vincent had Yutan in his hands, there would be no way he could hide this matter. Dad is not here. If Yutan really comes, who can stop him? Don't be afraid of open guns, but what about hidden arrows? Because of this mentality and the doubts about his ability by people around him, Nai Hua carried a huge psychological burden when he participated in the next competition. The third round of the round compares theoretical and practical knowledge of weapons. Dozens of types of firearms and ammunition were half disassembled and mixed together, and they needed to complete the 3 parts of matching, assembly and testing again. Scores are determined based on accuracy and completion time. This item should have been Nai Hua's strength. He has been holding a gun since he was 3 years old and practicing shooting since he was 5 years old. According to the predictions of the 3rd Military Academy, he won the first place in the school with absolute scores, and was 0.5 seconds faster than the previous rookie champion. Originally, this round was his guaranteed point. But this time, he failed because of the heavy psychological burden. He ended up finishing 8th. After 3 rounds, his ranking was only 17th, and there was another player whose score was tied with him. If he continues like this, he won't even be able to advance to the 2nd round, and a strong sense of crisis will arise. As for Tauran, her theoretical knowledge is indeed weak. Although she only got 15th in this round, her overall score was still ranked 5th. The 4th round is about troop deployment and combat capabilities. Everyone has a virtual game scene. Everyone faces the same initial situation. What they want to do is to seize control of the target city. The layout and deployment of population, troops, weapons, and grain and grass all need to be decided and controlled by themselves. The system will eventually automatically score based on completion, resource consumption, casualties, revenue, number of hostages rescued and other aspects. This is also Nai Hua's strength. Not to mention that he has played this kind of simulation training hundreds of times, he has even participated in similar real battles. He can at least take the top 3. He forced himself to calm down. He even asked his doctor to give him an injection. Finally, this time, he basically performed stably and finished 4th. His score finally improved to 12th place. Ran didn't even expect that his goal would be so bad without working hard. And using his brain to mobilize troops and generals happened to be Ran's strength. She took second place in this category. Now her total points have reached second place. She thought about it. If Hua can't even make it into the top 10, then of course it's best. But the possibility of this is small. Even regardless of Hua's personal abilities, given Ronghai's connections, prestige and strength in the military, and De family's family background, the Third Military Academy would probably support him in entering the second stage. Entering the second round, if he couldn't hold on to his ranking, then, based on the fact that Hua was in the 3rd, 5th, or even 6th Military Academy, he might be able to go further. No. Ran just didn't want him to succeed. So, in the last event of the round, Ran focused on Hua with all his strength. Hard work pays off. She worked so hard to release the water. In the end, Hua entered the second round with 8th place. Before he could be happy, he saw the opponent the Mecha would fight against tomorrow. Baofu, she ranked 3rd overall, will be his opponent in the next round. For a moment, Hua's head became heavy, and he felt as if the sky was dark and the earth was dark and suffocating. Because of the outstanding performance of the 1st Military Academy in the second round of team competition, 3 of them entered the top 10 this time. In addition to Ran, there are 2 3rd-grade classmates. It can be said that the scenery is infinite. The strength of the new generation represents hope. The rise of the First Army is clear at a glance. 2 chapters in 1. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 662. Hua felt that he had to do something. That Baofu looks weirder and weirder the more he looks at it. Even if she wasn't Yu-Tan, just by virtue of her ability to reach the second round in 3rd place, she would know that she was extraordinary. Hua has read her information several times. This woman appeared out of thin air. It can be said that suddenly one day, he started to become famous in Central Star. A few days later, he suddenly entered the 1st Military Academy. The whole person is very mysterious. SS mental power is already outstanding. No matter which star she comes from, she can't be unknown, right? And physical ability? Impossible. Haven't you seen her skills? Hua could see clearly that when she fell, so many people and so many guns fired at her, but they did not hurt her. Later, she chased so many people by herself, so would anyone believe that her physical ability was SS? Therefore, the 1st Military Academy must have lied about his physical fitness. The more this happens, the more panicked Hua becomes. If you can lie about your physical fitness, how can you not tell a person's true mental strength and origins? He became more and more certain that this Baofu was not real, or that there was no such person as Baofu from the beginning. For this reason, he also connected with his father again. Later he learned that the Yu-Tan family did have extraordinary family fighting skills and special footwork. This may explain the strange movement of the man in the competition. Almost every one of them is correct. Hua glanced at Chi Mo in the stands. That guy was doing nothing at first and was always on the last list of candidates. What now? Second in support and first in popularity. When the competition is over, his approval rate will definitely go up. It is not uncommon to resort to tricks in order to gain a position, and it is also normal to resort to deception. Hua felt that they must be cheating. It was possible that Baofu was the customized vest for Yu-Tan. He. Let him face Yu-Tan? I heard that even though her father was mentally stronger than her back then, he couldn't definitely win against her. Can I? He has lost all face in the first stage and must advance in the second stage. And he has already passed the test with 2 people who are also in the top 10, and they will leave him a charge armor. So even if he couldn't win the Rookie of the Year title, he would at least advance to the 3rd round and win the top 3. Only in this way can his future be guaranteed. How could he sit still and wait for death? So, just when everyone was about to leave, the Supervision Office of the Central Military Commission suddenly received a real name report. It was Nai Hua who reported it. Logically, he shouldn't have done this, but he didn't have time to coordinate and convince the other contestants to do it, so he had to do it himself. He questioned that Baofu of the First Army was faked. Naturally, he would not foolishly identify Baofu as Yu Tan's impersonation, but would instead say that Baofu was once a good friend of his own sister. He is still relatively familiar. But compared to a few months ago, this Baofu's ability has not only improved by leaps and bounds, but his temperament has also changed drastically. He suspected that there was something wrong with Baofu. Moreover, for a 20-year-old girl, the skills shown in the second item in the first round were too much. She even surpassed the quality of many officers who have been in the army for 10 or 20 years. And according to what he learned from his sister, Baofu had always been a student, and his father didn't have these abilities, so no matter how you look at it, it's very weird. He demanded a thorough investigation of the person in front of him, checking her identity, measuring her bone age, checking whether she had plastic surgery, and checking whether anyone was pretending to be Baofu. Nai Hua discussed it with Nai Ronghai. Originally, he wanted to ask for a check of Baofu's DNA, but Nai Ronghai told him that Yu Tan's DNA information had long been deleted by the military. So there is no point in checking this. There is no way to prove that this woman is not Baofu. Therefore, measuring bone age is the best way. Baofu's age in the file was listed as 20. If his bone age were off by 1 or 2 years, it would be acceptable. But if it turned out to be more than 40, it would be a definite fraud. Forging files and cheating on exams can completely ruin the first military academy this time. Then there is plastic surgery. As long as there is plastic surgery, there are always traces to follow. The father and son had high hopes for the report. If it succeeds, it will not only directly disrupt Yu Tan's next move, but also make her get out of the First Army. The First Army's cover-up and deception were exposed, and they were bound to be punished. Then Baofu airborne into the school, which was against the rules. Military academy admissions are strictly reviewed and approved, which shows that the First Army had a premeditated plan. At that time, Mo will be unable to absolve himself of the blame and will not be able to escape unscathed. Although this will not lead to his downfall, the future of this election will end here. Nai Ronghai personally called the Fifth Army. As soon as the other party heard that it might affect Mo's election support rate, he immediately nodded and expressed his willingness to appropriately add fuel to the flames. Therefore, after this report came out, voices of support immediately appeared in the stands. Tao Ran was called over. Absurd. Funny. Ridiculous, she didn't even look at Nai Hua. What? You don't dare to test. You feel guilty, Nai Hua immediately became excited. I just think that questioning and reporting other people's behavior because you can't afford to lose is not on the table. I killed you during the competition, and you treated me like this. You don't even have the basic qualities to join the army. How can you lead such a small-minded person, soldiers? How to serve the masses? How to become a qualified officer? I can't understand how you suppress your opponent like this. Are you trying to avenge the shame of being shot by me before? Or are you afraid that in the next round of mecha battle, you will lose ugly at my hands? Tao Ran is very sharp. She was not afraid of facing these so-called superiors. Nai Hua's intention was exposed in public, so he was naturally furious, turned red in the face and jumped up and down. Stop talking nonsense. You are so quibbling, it's obvious that you don't dare to test it. I'm not lying. If you had no intention, if you really had doubts about me, you should have jumped out and reported me when I shot you in the second round. Why did you wait until now? Wait until you find out that the next round is again. You and I couldn't help but report it when we were in confrontation. You are clearly afraid of fighting. I just can't afford to lose. It's just bad behavior. And, do you have any solid evidence? Just based on your guess, you want to test me. Why? If you play this way, will everyone who beats you have to be reported by you? Here. Taoran pointed to the trophy placed on the rostrum. You might as well just move out and save yourself so much trouble. Taoran ignored the gestures of several officers over there telling her to pause first, and kept raising her voice, fearing that the media would not catch her voice. As a soldier, you not only don't have basic qualities, but you don't even have the basic backbone. It's so embarrassing. But I advise you, whether you are a soldier or a human being, if you really want to compete, you should meet in the competition field or the battlefield. And not through some small actions off stage. Taoran scolded him like a machine gun, making Nai Hua try to interrupt several times without success. On the contrary, all his little thoughts and intentions were poured out by her. And her remarks actually received approval and support from many people. Nai Hua saw this and felt hatred in his heart. He could only wink at the people of the 5th and 8th armies. Nai Hua, do you dare to test it? I can take the test, but if it turns out there's nothing wrong with it, you can't just let me have the test in vain, right? What do you want? I want you to apologize to me in front of the media and admit that you are making things difficult and speculating on me because of jealousy, fear, and pettiness. Nai Hua has reached this point and has no way out. He had no choice but to comply. The testing was supervised by the principals of several military academies. The main thing Nai Hua questioned was Baofu's age. Unfortunately, he used more than 3 methods to measure bone age. After 3 measurements, Baofu was definitely around 20 years old. Even the measured metabolic level was very young, only 17 years old. Taoran snorted coldly, when did being young become a crime? Why don't you allow others to be gifted if you don't have the ability? I am a genius. No matter how you question it, I am also God's favorite. You are just jealous. People from the Central Army began to check Baofu's identity. What can you find out? Her and Zhou Heiya's identities were covered by their own layer, the Mi family's layer and the First Military Academy's cover-up, which was equivalent to 3 locks. Yu Jun had known that from the day she revealed her abilities, countless people would want to check her history and family background, and those old men had already filled in all the loopholes for her. So, nothing. There is no problem with her identity, background, and past. Taoran, when did we, who come from a small place and a small planet like us, have to be looked down upon by others? Although our family background is not as good as yours, our efforts are not lacking in places that you can't see. Not only are you short-sighted, you bully others and are so despicable, trying to wipe out our success. Don't even think about it. They started investigating her plastic surgery again. No need to check. I admit it. I did have it done. But so what? Taoran sneered. Everyone has a love for beauty, not to mention that I am a young and beautiful girl. When did plastic surgery become a crime? I'm sorry, but your sister Nai Hua, Nai Jenny, committed a very serious crime. I have seen her in the previous photos in the room. Her eyes had been opened, her eyelids had been cut, and her nose had been patted. Your mother, Dis, was the same. That face required a lot of injections every year, right? If plastic surgery is guilty, I'm afraid your sister and your mother would have to go in first. Your vision is so low and your jealousy is so strong. I still say that you are not qualified to be the new king. In this way, the 3 testing directions proposed by Nai Hua were all positively proven and responded to by Taoran. Not only has she been putting various negative labels on Nai Hua, but she has also successfully tied herself up with talented people, hard-working people, ordinary people, people from extraterrestrials, and girls who love beauty, and successfully created a good relationship for Nai Hua. Hua attracted a lot of hatred. Nai Hua was even more dizzy. Is this woman really a genius? Pooh. He didn't believe it. So, do you have any other evidence? If not, don't delay everyone from going back to rest. Before Nai Hua could speak, Taoran snatched the microphone from the hands of the reporters waiting to make headlines and pushed it to Nai Hua's mouth. Please. For Nai Hua, it is not easy to apologize, but it is even harder to say those self-deprecating words. In the end, he only smiled awkwardly. I misunderstood, Miss Bao. I take the apology to heart. But now everyone has to leave, and there is a game tomorrow, so let's not disturb everyone's rest. Why don't I solemnly apologize to you after the game is over? Taoran interrupted with a chuckle, you are so thick-skinned. If you are afraid of disturbing others, why did you make a fuss about getting tested just now? Is it so difficult to apologize for 1 minute? But when it comes to what Unai family says and does, sure enough, they come from the same origin. Haha, since he didn't answer the phone, Taoran was rude and took the phone to curse. Don't talk too much. Nai Hua suddenly changed his face. Why did he involve his family? He resisted the urge to explode. If you talk nonsense about some things, you will be responsible for the consequences. His father's suspected collusion with terrorists was not spread out to save the army's face. He spent a lot of effort to suppress the discussions about his father, so that the media did not report much about that night. Now that he wants to move forward, he is most afraid that someone will mention this matter. So can Nai Hua not be anxious? Taoran smiled brightly. Why are you so anxious? I'm talking about your sister Nai Jenny. I'm afraid you've forgotten that she had shameless intentions for me's parents and grandchildren, right? Who do you think I'm talking about? Oh. I understand. That scandal about your dad. Haha. It's okay if she didn't say it, but once she did, everyone remembered it. As time goes by, many people have forgotten what Jenny Nai did that day. The matter was so big at that time, who didn't know that Jenny Nai had done something ugly to the boy from the Mi family. Jenny Nai left for another star, which shows her guilty conscience. If Nai Ronghai had not been on stage at that time, I am afraid that the Mi family would not have let Jenny Nai go. In the case of Jenny Nai, if your family's power hadn't forced us to shut up, neither Mi Hongyu nor I would have let it go. Your family is used to bullying others, right? Someone searched for the optical brain and discovered that Nai Jenny's molestation of Mi Hongyu happened at Bao's house. This Bao Fu is the person involved, and she knows the ins and outs best. But she didn't say a word afterwards, presumably because she was threatened by the Nai family. Now it seems that it is a done deal. Tisk tisk. Miss Nai is so fierce. No wonder the famous playboy Mi Hongyu wants to join the army. I almost lost my virginity in the hands of a woman, I was so frightened. Stop talking nonsense, Nai Hua was going crazy. I have surveillance video of my home and evidence of your aftermath. Do you want to show it to everyone? Taoran snorted. When she does things, she always maximizes profits. So you want to give her some money to shut up? They think too much. The reason why she didn't attack at that time was because she was too weak and Nai Ronghai was too strong, and the timing was not good, unlike now, where things take turns. The time of reckoning has come for her. Nai Hua was even more panicked. He knew that his mother arranged the aftermath and spent a lot of money. But this woman broke her promise after receiving the money. So in her hands, the surveillance video has not been deleted, the video of the door-to-door apology has not been deleted, and there are still transfer records, right? I heard that Mi Hongyu had an unusual relationship with her. When the time comes for them to testify together, the matter that was finally settled will start again. Jenny is already depressed because of this incident. If it happens again, Jenny won't have to get married. He wants to kill this Baofu even more. But he was afraid that this woman would really shake something, so he didn't dare to say anything. People around were talking a lot. There are still people discussing what Taoran said just now, your dad's scandal. Speaking of which, in the past year, there have been quite a few scandal rumors about Nai Ronghai. Thinking about it this way, does the reason why Nai Ronghai suddenly resigned from all his posts and fled to an alien planet come out? Because something happened. This Nai family seems to be really hard to describe. Even the habit of running away to aliens when something goes wrong is the same. Just like that, Taoran seemed to say something, but seemed to say nothing at all, but he succeeded in making everyone shake their heads because of the bad things that happened to the Nai family before. The whole family is like this. No wonder Nai Hua was so aggressive just now. He really thought he had evidence. It turned out to be a false accusation. But he still refuses to apologize for being framed, which shows that there is something wrong with his character. Nai Hua's whole head was throbbing and painful. Jenny never came back, and Dad went away to another planet. Actually, it was all so as not to affect his competition this time and his victory as the newcomer king. The results of it? This female plague goddess has identified his weakness. In front of the media cameras, his reputation was almost destroyed. 2 chapters in 1. The heroine who wears fast is really a boss. Author, Ruo Shui 1111. Chapter 663. Nai Hua received a signal from the principal of the 3rd Military Academy asking him to apologize. But just as he cleared his throat and was about to speak, he saw Taoran turn around, holding the microphone and facing the camera again. Forget it, don't be too forceful. You don't need to apologize. I don't accept it if you don't do it willingly. I know that your Nai family tradition is the same from top to bottom. It means going back on your words, bullying others, and embarrassing others. Woe to me. She glanced at Nai Hua. I'm going to tease you here first. I won't be rude or polite when you and I confront each other tomorrow. When the time comes, don't blame me for taking action without caring about your face. The ugly words are ahead. Tomorrow, don't be afraid of fighting or looking for trouble. Stop pretending to be sick to escape. Then everyone in the Star Network will laugh at you. She took out the microphone and cursed bad luck before bowing with a military salute and retreating. In fact, there was no need to wait until tomorrow for the competition. Nai Hua became a joke to the entire Star Network that night. Taoran didn't know if what had just happened would be broadcast live or if the media would be muzzled, so after she was reported, she recorded the audio in advance. Mi Hongyu, who was watching the battle, and Luke, who was resting, also secretly recorded the video. Mi Hongyu was never afraid of big troubles. He made a fake identity and directly packaged the video and audio materials to a gossip media. Indeed, the 3rd Military Academy helped Nai Hua deal with the aftermath. They were still managing the media, but they never expected that what had just happened had already spread to the Star Network. Other military academies also want to fish in troubled waters. At this time, there are many people who secretly poke and push. Therefore, the 3rd Military Academy and others tried to seal it but failed. Netizens had already seen Nai Hua going to the rostrum to make a suspected report before the official live broadcast ended. At that time, the signal was blocked, and curious netizens were still reading the news. Now, kind-hearted people have sent melons. For a time, the Nai family once again became the target of heated discussions among netizens. Nai Ronghai is sanctimonious, and the Nai family's children are arrogant, domineering, bullying, and lawless. These images are once again deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. Nai Hua can't control this for the time being. He was a little worried about tomorrow's mecha battle. Don't panic, Unlike Nai Hua, Nai Ronghai breathed a sigh of relief after confirming that Baofu was not U10. After all, he was overly concerned. He had just read the one circulating on the internet. That Baofu kept blaring his mouth. Although he was reasonable and well-founded, he was very noisy. This was definitely not the cold and calm U10. If it were U10, the most he would do is leave with a harsh word, and he would never talk nonsense. So, if it's not U10, that's fine. Nai Ronghai comforted his son through a video call. Aren't you the best at mechas? Of all the students in the 6 major military academies, no one has as much experience as you. And experience is almost the most important advantage in mecha warfare. Don't worry, Dad will find someone to make arrangements later to ensure you can get your favorite attack armor. In addition, Dad has inquired for you. The Thunder, Windblade, and other armors in other military academies are still versions from 3 or 5 years ago, but the mecha competition provided this time is the latest model. Among these people, you are the only one who has used the new model. Your advantage is obvious. Didn't Dad install a system for your training room? You should practice well tonight. Don't worry, even if Baofu chooses the same light armor as you, she will still need some time to adapt. As for you, the best way is to directly launch a blitz and strike first. Bala, Nai Ronghai spent the whole night analyzing tactics with his son and giving advice on attack methods. Nai Hua spent a whole night doing psychological construction. He tried hard not to go online, not to be affected, not to be afraid. But the next day, when he saw Baofu, his heart trembled again. He realized that subconsciously, he was afraid of her. This made him grit his teeth. But when he met Baofu's eyes, he not only saw her hatred, but also suddenly felt a sense of familiarity. Why is this? In fact, they just officially met for the first time yesterday, right? Why does this Baofu always make him feel flustered? When selecting mechas, the order will be determined based on the scores in the first round. The one with the first overall score was a senior from the 2nd Military Academy. He chose Mecha Thunder. Thunder, as its name suggests, is fast, light in armor, and dense in firepower. For one-on-one PK battles, this is definitely the best choice. The second place was a guy from the 6th Military Academy, and he chose Blade Runner. This mecha has a variety of shapes and is suitable for assassination and lurking. Tao Ran glanced at him. Haha, the second place chose an assassination armor. This is not even the advantage of the first round. Sure enough, someone at the 6th Military Academy should have reached some kind of agreement with Nai Ronghai. It's Tao Ran's turn. She circled around Thunder twice, and finally went to the only giant armor on the field that she had first spotted, Red Flame of Doom. This is a power armor. High damage, heavy firepower equipment such as flames and lasers. It has thick blood, can be beaten and can withstand beatings. I want this. Her choice made all 7 people present except the 1st Military Academy look relaxed. Oh my god. Really? As long as they are women, they all like this kind of good-looking things. Flashy, fancy but useless, that's all. This big guy looks mighty, it's eye-catching and beautiful in red, and it has strong firepower, but it's stupid. Turning around is a second slower than that of a normal mecha. If this encounters fast mechas like Thunder and Silver Wings, they will basically end up being beaten around. Not to mention that this big guy has many individual components, complex functions, and about 3 times more controls than the reconnaissance mecha. Therefore, when driving, it not only requires a lot of physical strength to control the operation, but also requires greater mental strength. If the status is not good, half of the functions may not be activated. Everyone in the stands and in front of the Star Network also sighed together. Yesterday, Baofu and Nai Hua went head-to-head with each other, which was really exciting. Because of Baofu's harsh words, he originally wanted to see the two of them contribute to another exciting battle today. Who knew that Baofu would choose this thing? How could he be the opponent of the experienced Nai Hua? This third place result is in vain. Everyone next chose a mecha. Due to the humility of the first two, although Nai Hua failed to get the thunder, he also got his best offensive armor, the wind blade. It is similar to thunder, fast and has strong attacks. The disadvantage is a common problem with all light armors, the blood is slightly thin and it is not very durable. However, as long as you operate it well, you can completely make up for this shortcoming. The rules are simple, 1-to-1. Since it is just a military exercise, to ensure safety, the attacks of all mechas are simulated. The real power of weapon firepower is reduced to only 1/10, but the sensitivity of all mechas to attack is increased. Therefore, although it is a simulation, the offensive and defensive effects and feelings are consistent with actual combat. For the convenience of watching the battle, each mecha has 10 lights on its chest, which are equivalent to health bars. During the battle, if one side's lights are all extinguished, it is considered a failure. For Chao Ran, isn't this the arena battle she was best at in the past? It's just that the battlefield is wider, with a combat range of several kilometers from the ground to the air. The competition begins. A draw of lots. Unfortunately, Chao Ran and Nai Hua were the first group to face each other. Chao Ran felt a little sorry. She also heard last night that the light armors being tested today were all the latest upgraded models. She originally wanted to get some information while watching the battle, but obviously, she still had to see what she could do. In contrast, Nai Hua finally smiled. God is helping him too. That idiot Baofu has run out of luck. From the moment she chose the Doomsday Red Flame, she was destined to have no chance of winning in the future. Very good. He must catch that Baofu by surprise and corner him to avenge yesterday. The referee indicated that they could get on the mecha first to synchronize and get familiar with it. The referee also specifically asked Chao Ran and said that she could apply for 10 more minutes. Why? Before the referee finished speaking, Nai Hua jumped up. The rule is 15 minutes of preparation time. Are you showing favoritism? Referee, the Red Flame of Doom is a large-scale offensive heavy armor. Its synchronization time is at least twice as long as that of ordinary mechas, and its start-up time is also much slower. In fact, the military did not expect that anyone would fight one-on-one. When choosing heavy armor, the reason why it is displayed is mainly for the sense of ceremony, majesty, and grandeur. Now that someone wants to use it, the time will naturally be extended. This is not only the referee's intention, but also the official intention. However, Nai Hua didn't care about this and started shouting about unfairness. He kept saying that there were so many people competing behind him and that breaking the rules just because of one person was unfair to everyone. Now that the rules have been set, we must respect them. Really, Nai Hua also winked at several other classmates who were friends with him and would soon be on the stage. He finally had this advantage and opportunity. How could he miss it? Now is the best time to suppress. You know, after 15 minutes, if Baofu can't activate that stupid guy, he will automatically win. Thinking of this, Nai Hua became excited and couldn't help but chuckle. Chao Ran chuckled and signaled to the referee who was about to speak. I said yesterday that Nai Hua has this kind of character. He can't afford to lose, so he will naturally use other means. Forget it, he has to respect the rules. Let's just follow the rules. 15 minutes is enough. After she said this, the referee could only nod. The timer will start after you enter the mecha. 15 minutes, once the time is up, the confrontation will begin. After that, it will last indefinitely until one party falls. The referee stepped back, and there were only 2 mechas left on the field. Chao Ran got into the mecha that she had been thinking about for a long time with great interest. The first time she entered the control room, she understood why everyone was reluctant to use this kind of heavy armor. Because it is huge and heavy, the mecha has many controls. When I reached the console, I saw densely packed lights. There are thousands of lights. Later, she must use her mental power to cover the entire mecha and light up these lights so that the components represented by each light can be reflected to the corresponding parts and functions of the mecha, and can be used as she pleases. Taoran here was still watching to see if there was something special about this heavy armor. Across from him, Nai Hua had already taken several photos of the lights, urging him to start the countdown. Taoran hummed again, sat down, and pressed the ready button. The 15-minute countdown begins. Taoran put on his conductor armor and helmet to cover his mental power. Just like when she was practicing, she used spiritual energy to travel through every blood vessel and meridians. At this time, she regarded herself as the mecha, using her mental power to activate every meridian, allowing the mecha to connect with herself completely. Become one. On the rostrum, several big guys were discussing quietly. Now that the head of state was still thinking about buying Baofu a few more minutes, he suddenly saw the principal of the second military academy next to him suddenly widening his eyes and looking at the bare board in his hand. Only then did everyone see that in just a few words, the Doomsday Red Flame, which had thousands of activation elements, showed that the synchronization rate had reached as high as 50%. This number basically means that she has the ability to control this mecha. And time, only 4 minutes have passed. This is almost impossible. When preparing for the competition 2 days ago, the mecha Doomsday Red Flame was piloted by a mecha master with S mental strength. He was just tinkering with this thing every day, and after more than 10 minutes, he was only 50% synchronized, and barely managed to get the mecha. Shi Mo, Kona, Yu Baofu. Before the head of state finished speaking, the machine showed that the synchronization rate had reached 60%. He shut his mouth. He doesn't want to know off-site information now, he just wants to know what Baofu's final synchronization rate will be. Another 2 minutes passed, and Nai Hua was elated. He has completed the synchronization. 95%. He is very familiar with both Thunder and Windblade, and can control them with his eyes closed. He moved the controller slightly, and the people on the rostrum in front of him were zoomed in before his eyes. He originally wanted to see if the big guys would be surprised when they saw his synchronization rate and speed, but he found that the people on the podium were not looking at him at all. Those people all stared at the red flames of doom, and looked at the light board in their hands from time to time. 2 officers even stood up. Nai Hua curled his lips. Then Baofu, you haven't entered the synchronization process yet, right? Nai Hua couldn't see the opponent's data, so he didn't know that Taoran's synchronization rate had exceeded 75%. He lost face yesterday and cannot afford to lose today's battle. Nai Hua decided to put some psychological pressure on Baofu first. So Nai Hua activated the mecha and made a provocative move. Naturally, he didn't know that at the moment he was doing somersaults in a show of force here, the synchronization rate of Doomsday Red Flame over there was already 85%, only one step away from reaching 90%, which would soon break the record of the highest synchronization rate of Doomsday Red Flame in recent years. Therefore, the impoverished Nai Hua was completely like a clown. To be precise, he was more like a monkey playing tricks, which made people feel speechless and contemptuous. The commentator of the live broadcast commented on him with embarrassment and sarcasm, and the people watching the live broadcast laughed at him for being arrogant and ignorant. 90%. Pass. Everyone on the podium took a deep breath. But the progress bar has not stopped, and there seems to be room for improvement. The Doomsday Red Flame has too many operating components and is too complex, so far, except for a few masters who have achieved a synchronization rate of 96% many years ago, the highest record in the past 20 years is only 89%. Because of this, even though its power is shocking, it is too difficult to handle, so it is on the verge of being eliminated in the hearts of everyone in the military. 10 minutes have passed and Tauran has not yet activated the red flames of doom because she is still trying to increase the synchronization rate. 93%. 95%. The big guys inevitably took a breath. Only 2 minutes left. The bosses were a little anxious. Baofu hasn't started it yet, nor is he familiar with its operation. It would be a pity if your ability is limited because of time. The head of state on the rostrum proposed to give Baofu more time, but the group headed by the 3rd Military Academy strongly opposed it. For a time, the rostrum became lively. This scene was seen by Nai Hua. Only then did he realize something was wrong. He saw the assistant in the crowd gesturing to him, and he finally understood. 45 seconds left. 2 chapters in 1.